And today we are talking about my new favorite word. Like you are going to see this word probably everything I write from now on. But the word is called languishing. And I'm going to explain what it is. And I've just learned it. But the funny thing is, I've been talking about this for months, actually years. When every time I say on the cusp of burnout, what I've really been saying, and I didn't know the word for it, I don't know how, in years of study and practice and talking with, doctors and everything, that I didn't learn this word, but I know it now. And so I want to bring it to your attention if it's not on your radar yet, and share with you some ideas around it, because every time I talk about being on the cusp of burnout, I'm actually talking about this thing called languishing. And so it was an article that one of my clients sent to me. Maritza, thank you so much for forwarding this to me because I think it is fantastic. Good morning, Greg. Awesome to have you here. I'm going to be excited to hear if you've heard about this languishing, if this is a thing on your radar screen as well. So it was the New York Times wrote an article. It was yesterday, and it's called, okay, so it writes, the headline is "The Neglected Middle Child of Mental Health Can Dull Your Motivation and Focus, and it may be the dominant emotion of 2021." And I really, truly believe it is. Like, and here, so I'm not going to read the whole article. I will definitely link to it in the replay of the live, so you can go in and check this out. But essentially, what it is okay, he's saying friends having trouble concentrating. Even though there are vaccines on the horizon, they weren't really getting excited. Staying up late to watch movies, lying in bed instead of getting up energized in the morning, you're kind of like, playing on the scrolling, and it's just not good. And the author says it wasn't burnout because you still have energy. And I think one of the challenges I've had in communicating the work that I do and how important it is because I talk about being on the cusp of burnout. Insert the new word languishing here. And the idea being that we want to try to, like, I'm trying to catch people before they get to burnout. Burnout is when they're like, you're just done, right? You're going on stress leave, and I know stress leave is at an all-time high right now. It's just people are just like, don't have the umph, right? Like I talk about juju, right? We don't have the juju that makes you do what you do. Sorry, I think that might be a rap song from the 90s. Although I'm pretty sure there was no juju in the, what was it? Ziggy, ziggy, ziggy. Can't you see? Sometimes words that hypnotize me. Anyway, I digress. Make me do the words that you do. Somebody will know what it is and tell me later. Anyway, I digress. Point is, this pre burnout phase that so many people are in for obvious reasons, excuse me, because we don't have our typical connection. We don't have our typical outlets like going to the gym, going to the movies, hanging out with new friends, flying for vacation, all of those different things that are part of our day-to-day lives that sort of give us that, like, oomph, I got something to go do. We don't have that anymore. So this, as a byproduct, makes it sound like it really is good. So languishing it goes on to explain more, a sense of stagnation and emptiness. It feels as if you're muddling through your days, looking at your life through a foggy windshield. And I gotta tell you, I am talking to people and I am hearing this kind of feedback, this kind of sensation or sentiment would be a better word, all the time. And I'm the speaker, the expert who says, actually, I'm not going to disqualify me by putting quotes around that. I've been teaching this stuff for a long time. But I think one of the things that I'm always really careful to be sure is that I never speak from a place that makes you think that I don't have any of these problems. Of course I do. You know, when I give my keynotes, it's like resilience is not a one and done. It's a choice that we have to make each and every day. And some days you have to make it every minute or every hour. And you know, this sensation where you're not totally depressed or you still have a bit of energy and you're not totally burned out is this middle child of, you know, mental health, as this New York Times article puts it, which is just so brilliant. And by the way, if somebody else is like, yeah, Allison, we've all known about this word for a million years, let me know. Is it just something I missed? But I'll tell you, is exactly the stuff I'm talking about. So here's what do we do? What do we do about it? And these aren't going to be really shocking answers because they're often the same things we need to do when we're on the depression end or the burnout end or in different phases of our mental health. But one of the big pieces is naming the emotion, naming our emotion. And if you've heard my ice cube that's became the snowman analogy, where I talk about misplaced emotion, so often we are like we're feeling an emotion. So maybe it's a really strong one, like fear or resentment or you know any natural emotion, right? Sadness, and it bubbles up and it shows up like anger or um, you know, shutting down, you know, maybe, or whatever. But it's, we tend not to identify our emotions particularly well as a society. And I know this, you know, one of the greatest examples is when we say things like, I'm fine. Like if anybody's using the word fine, I'm going to ask you to, you know, put that on the list, like right under the word stress, deleting the word stress from your life, delete the word fine from your life, your vocabulary, because fine is basically, I'm not willing to name my emotion. I could probably come up with some sort of an acronym. Anyway, I will one day. So, point is, you gotta name the emotion. And so, if you've got that blah, that just your juju's not doing what you need it to do, then naming it as languishing might be really helpful. Might be like, ah, okay, I got that. That's great. Second piece, and these are his examples in this article, and of course, all of this is so aligned, right, with the work that I'm already doing, where I talk about, he's saying set small goals and to get into flow, the state of flow. And getting into a state of flow requires not having interruptions. And as a matter of fact, that's the example in this book that I use on how to eliminate interruptions from your life using my problem solving framework. And so, okay, so let's talk about stress as it relates to flow and focus and not being interrupted and reaching our goals. So there's good stress and then there's destructive stress. And destructive stress is the kind that leads you to burnout, right? It's like where it's just so much on your plate. You're really not feeling like you're keeping your head above water. You're constantly being bombarded and you're emotionally reacting to that bombardment. Okay. You're emotionally connected to your to-do list, all the tasks that need to get done. And this sort of keeps you in this vortex of stress, busy, 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 no time to step off, really analyze and sink into what is actually happening. So that's really where I look at destructive stress. But good stress is actually how we end up getting into flow state. And flow state, like I hope you know what your flow state is. I know for me, it's when I'm speaking, it's when I'm writing, it's when I've dove into a project. Like, for example, writing the book, total flow state, total. Editing the book, not so much. I'm not going to call it flow state until I really get into it, and then I like almost start rewriting it, right? Which is sort of not possibly helpful in the editing phase. But by the way, these copies are going to be out. The final printed version is going to be available through Amazon and retailers near you in May. And I think it's May 11th that we're aiming for. So just stay tuned about that. But anyway, point is, your inability to name emotion. I love it. Okay, look at this. Greg, you did it. Okay, fine. Fear and inability to name my emotion. Oh my gosh, that's exactly it. Have you already heard of that? Like, did you just make that up on the spot there, Greg? Is that you? Am I gonna like now just give that to you? Like, I'm gonna have to say every speech I give. Fine. Fear and inability to name emotion. That it's gonna be yours. I'm gonna say, Greg's got this. Awesome. Or is it somebody else's and then I need to give it to them? But that's exactly what I was getting at earlier, right? This inability or lack of willingness to name our emotions is hurting us. Yes, teamwork. All right. So co-created on the fly. You never know what's going to happen on LinkedIn Live. All right. That's great. So when we talk about good stress, so the good stress is the kind that focuses us, that inspires us. And it's also the kind that will keep us alive and out of danger. So that's how stress was intended to be used, right? You know, you're going along, you're out in the garden, eating your berries, enjoying your day, and all of a sudden there's a bear that comes, or these days, shall we use the word coyote, because apparently they're everywhere, based on social media. And the stress hormones just like come to the surface and you get to danger. And then the idea is when you're away from danger, you're supposed to settle back down, right? That's how it's supposed to work. But we don't do that. It's a whole other story. We'll talk about it on another live. But let's take those other two pieces of good stress, which is what will inspire us. So when we have goals that we're aiming towards and we have passion and purpose and we know where we're heading, is exactly the kind of good stress that can help us get over this languishing, right? And sometimes you've got to set those goals, make them smaller so you can achieve them in a day. And, you know, for a goal to really be effective, we need to have some accountability in it. And, you know, one of the things I do with my coaching clients is when they're languishing, I better be sure I'm saying that right, eh? Anyway, I digress. Um, it's like they'll call me in the morning and they'll go, okay, look, I'm having trouble getting focused. We'll hop on the phone for like 5-10 minutes. And I'll just be like, okay, what are the priorities? What are we working on? All right, what's the path to get you there? Great. I look forward to hearing from you at 4 o'clock this afternoon to let me know how that went. And so that level of accountability is so critical in certain times where we're not feeling the juju that you do. I'm thinking it's salt and pepper. Or pepper. I don't know. However we say it. Okay. And for those of you who don't know the song I'm half singing as I'm talking, I'm so sorry for the digressions. So we've got the inspire us, that good stress that can help us get into flow. And so the goal, the small or medium-sized goal. And then there is the focus, good kind of stress, which is a deadline that is properly word properly assigned. I don't know if that's the right word, but like, okay, here's the thing. When I used to write a column, 4 times a week, I had to have an article in, and my deadline was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so if I started my column at 6 a.m., it would literally take me the whole day, right? I'd be collecting more information. I'd be tweaking. I would like be checking my email instead of writing, like all of that. And then a few times as I started to get into my writing journey as a professional writer, I would like life would happen. I would wake up late. I'd have meetings all day or an event that I had to go to, and I wouldn't get to start the column until 2 o'clock. And then what I realized is that at 2 o'clock, if I start the column, I'm still going to get it in at 3 p.m. And so it was like this focused effort, because when I only had an hour to write a publishable column, I'll tell you what, I didn't check my email. I didn't have my phone call coming on. I didn't have the TV on in the background, or, looking on social media. I just wrote the column. And so that forces you into flow state. So if that helps you in any way, even if you can get one pure flow state in a day, just one, like, your productivity can skyrocket with just that one flow state, right? Because, like, over the long term, because if you don't get that flow state in during at least once during the day, hopefully once or twice or three times or four times. I mean, I haven't been able to figure out flow state more than, I think, three or four times in a day personally, but that's, I have other things that might hold me back from that, but you may be able to. But here's what I know: when I'm working on a big project, I can work straight through for 12 hours, lying in my bed writing a book, no problem. 5 hours writing a full article, no problem. I will love every minute of it. I won't even notice the time going by. And that's when we hit the best flow state. So I hope that helps. I hope this resonates with you. I want to thank those of you who have been so supportive. Greg, you're one who's here live today, and there are others who have been coming on live or afterwards and sending me information. And of course, Facebook, you're welcome to come on here. I know I originally said it was LinkedIn Live, but I've now got Restream, and it's going to Facebook and YouTube, whole kit and caboodle, showing up here at 3:15 every Monday through Friday during Ontario's lockdown, which has been extended for 2 weeks. So to those of you who are also in Ontario, I will be seeing you every day for 3:15 while I am here, because it's not like I'm flying anywhere or going to a conference and having meetings. So I'm really grateful to get to do this. And again, thinking about languishing, which I have a tendency to be aware that that could be something that I'm doing. Small goal, right? Every day, going to go live, publicly build out my content, share with people just what I'm thinking, hopefully give a little inspirational laughs. Focus. I don't do anything else while I'm doing this time, so it feels really good and in flow. And really naming or finding a way to manufacture flow is so great. Other ways I do it is I'll have friends who are colleagues of mine, like Jennifer Jimboree. She and I have, or as Siri says, Jim Beer. So sometimes I say it backwards because Siri can't figure out how to say Jimboree. Anyway, she and I will like call each other and say, hey, what are you doing? Do you want to do 45 minutes or 75-minute work block? And we'll both commit to doing something. We'll work through, we'll do it, come back onto Zoom and celebrate that we've achieved that and check in. And so those manufactured flow states can give you that sense of purpose in little stints that can help you overcome this feeling of blah during the pandemic. So this is not the last time you will hear the word languishing from me. I am definitely going to share the link to this article. It was New York Times. And actually, I should probably give you the fellow who, just to give him proper props, his name is Adam Grant. Okay, so Adam Grant is the author of this article. It's New York Times. So resonated with me because it's everything I talk about, except now we have a name to put to it. And if you already had a name put to it, thank you for not telling me. But you know what? Timing works out. So I hope you have the best day, rest of the day. I've got an appointment, chiropractors, in 11 minutes. It's going to take me 8 minutes to drive there. So to be exactly on time, I am going to say goodbye right now. Here's Greg is coming in with a last little minute thing here. Group accountability can be so helpful. Yes, with unrelated colleagues. Right? It's like if it's the people who you work with, it's not always the best, right, Greg? Like you need people who are like enough removed from your existence that you don't want to let them down, right? I just want to check here. Okay, good. Okay, I've got to call it a day, so I'm not late. And we can do this. Come 3:15, Monday through Friday. This has been the Lockdown Lift Up. I hope you got something out of it. Please let me know in the comments. Share, invite your friends, and I will see you tomorrow.